Have you ever felt as if life has become a storm, loud, relentless, and unstoppable, and you can't even remember where you are inside it? You keep running, striving, achieving, yet somewhere beneath all the noise, your heart feels tired. We live in an age of constant movement. Every sound demands our attention. Every moment asks for more. But in chasing everything, we lose the only thing that truly matters, our inner stillness. And perhaps that is why, despite the comfort and success we build, peace still slips through our fingers like sand. In Buddhism, peace is not found by escaping the storm. It is found by learning to stand still within it, to let the winds blow, while your mind remains like the calm eye at the center of the cyclone. There is an old Zen story. A young man once visited a master, eager to learn the way of enlightenment. The master poured him tea and kept pouring until the cup overflowed. "Master," the student cried, "it's full, no more will fit." The master smiled. "Like this cup, your mind is already full. How can I show you truth unless you first empty it?" That is where peace begins, not in adding more, but in emptying, in releasing the noise, the tension, the endless craving to control. Today, I want to share with you 7 timeless lessons of Buddhist wisdom, 7 small but radiant gems that will help you stay calm, centered, and deeply alive in a world that never stops moving. Because peace is not something you find at the end of your journey. It's something you return to here, within yourself, right now. Lesson 1. Be gentle with yourself. We often know how to comfort others, yet we are the harshest judges of ourselves. When a friend falls, we offer kindness. But when we stumble, we use the language of punishment. "You should have known better. You're not enough." These quiet sentences, whispered within, are what truly exhaust the heart. The Buddha taught the principle of right speech, not only in how we speak to others, but also in how we speak to our own minds. Every word we utter inwardly is a seed we plant in the soil of our consciousness. Some seeds grow into compassion and courage, others into shame and self-doubt. What grows depends on the words we choose. There is a Zen story about a cracked water pot. The pot felt ashamed because it leaked, losing half of the water each day on the path back from the river. One day, it apologized to its owner. The man smiled and said, "Look behind you. The flowers that bloom along the path, they grow from the water you spilled." The pot wept with gratitude. Its flaw had been its gift all along. So it is with us. The places where we feel broken are often the very places where the light enters. Our mistakes are not evidence of failure, but of being human, learning, expanding, refining. True self-compassion is not about ignoring our faults. It's about holding them gently, the way a mother holds her child who has fallen, with tenderness, not anger. To practice this gentleness, begin by noticing your inner voice. When you catch yourself speaking with cruelty, pause. Ask, "Would I say these words to a friend I love?" If not, breathe and reframe. Replace "I failed again" with "I'm learning." Replace "I'm not enough" with "I'm growing stronger." Each kind phrase reshapes the pathways of your mind, softening the walls you once built around your own heart. Take a few minutes each day to sit in silence. As you inhale, whisper to yourself, "I forgive." As you exhale, "I release." Feel how forgiveness creates space inside you, space for breath, for peace, for light. Another way to nurture gentleness is through affirmations, not as empty phrases, but as living reminders of your worth. Each morning, say to yourself, I am worthy of love and peace. I am enough as I am, yet open to becoming more. Over time, these words begin to sound less like affirmations and more like truth. Being kind to yourself does not mean avoiding responsibility or pretending to be perfect. It means walking the path of growth with compassion instead of punishment. It means meeting your flaws with understanding rather than fear. As I learned in my own journey, the day I stopped punishing myself was the day I began to truly heal. When you become your own friend, the world outside softens too, for the peace you show yourself becomes the peace you offer others. Lesson 2. Honor your body, the temple of the soul. This body is not merely flesh and bone. It is the sacred house where the spirit resides, the only home we will ever truly live in. We may travel through cities, build countless walls, and change our surroundings 100 times. But wherever we go, we always return to this one vessel, our body. To neglect it is to neglect the very ground on which peace must grow. In Buddhism, the body and mind are like two wings of the same bird. If one weakens, the flight of life becomes unsteady. We cannot expect a peaceful mind to dwell within a restless body, nor a vibrant body to flourish within a mind filled with turmoil. The two must move in harmony, gently supporting one another. There is a Zen story of a weary soldier who sought the wisdom of a master. "Master," he said, "I sit to meditate, but my mind will not rest." The master looked at him kindly and asked, "Have you eaten?" "Not yet," replied the soldier. "Then eat," said the master, "and when you have eaten, wash your bowl." The lesson was simple but profound. Caring for the body is also meditation. Awareness begins in the smallest acts, the meal, the breath, the gentle motion of washing what has served you. To honor the body is to return to presence. When you eat, eat slowly. Taste every grain as if it were a prayer of gratitude to the earth and the hands that nourished it. When you walk, walk with mindfulness. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the quiet symphony of existence that moves through you. When you sleep, treat rest as a sacred ritual, not as an afterthought. Close your eyes, not in exhaustion, but in reverence, knowing that this body has carried you through another day. Cleanliness, too, is a form of gratitude, not vanity, but respect for the body that breathes, for the skin that protects, for the heart that beats, even when we forget to thank it. Each time you care for this form, you are saying to life itself, "I value the chance to be here." In a world that glorifies mental strength and spiritual awakening, we sometimes forget that the simplest path to enlightenment begins in the body, in a single mindful breath, in the quiet awareness of being alive. Peace is not found only in thought. It is found in the pulse of the body that supports your every prayer. I used to chase serenity only with my mind, believing peace was something to think my way into. But now I understand peace begins in the body, in one conscious breath, in the way we treat this fragile, miraculous vessel that carries us through the storm of existence. When we honor the body, the soul bows in gratitude, and the mind finally comes home. Lesson 3. Set attainable goals. The middle path to true success. In life, there are two kinds of people: those who burn themselves out chasing perfection, and those who sit still waiting for miracles. Both are lost in extremes, one consumed by fire, the other frozen by fear. The Buddha taught that neither end leads to liberation. The path of peace and true accomplishment lies in balance, in the middle way. Too tight, the string will snap. Too loose, it will not sing. This simple truth, spoken by the Buddha, carries the essence of wisdom. Balance is not compromise, it is awareness. It is knowing when to push and when to pause, when to act and when to rest. The middle path does not ask us to aim lower. It asks us to aim consciously with mindfulness, not obsession. There is a Zen story about a young archer who sought advice from his master. "Master," he said, "how tight should I pull the bowstring?" The master smiled and replied, "Tight enough to let the arrow sing, but not so tight that it breaks your strength." Goals are much the same. Set them too high and you breed frustration, too low and you starve the soul of purpose. But when they are just right, every effort becomes a song, a harmony of striving and serenity. The middle path teaches us that success is not about reaching the summit at all costs, but about walking each step with awareness. Begin by breaking large goals into small, steady steps. Celebrate each small victory as you would a mountain sunrise quietly, gratefully. When you stumble, do not condemn yourself. Sit down, breathe, and ask, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" The lesson found in falling is often more valuable than the triumph of reaching. The practice of balanced effort is a meditation in motion. It requires patience to know that growth unfolds in its own rhythm and compassion, to forgive yourself when progress feels slow. The lotus, after all, does not rush to bloom. It opens petal by petal, trusting the light. When we walk this balanced path, ambition becomes gentle and discipline becomes love. We stop chasing success as an external prize and begin living success as an inner quality, the quiet confidence that we are walking in the right direction. I once believed that success was a mountain to conquer, a peak to plant my flag upon. Now I understand it differently. Success is not a destination. It is a conscious step, taken with awareness and gratitude. The mountain does not matter as much as the way you climb it, breathing, smiling, and knowing that each step in itself is already the arrival. Lesson 4. Embrace change, the freedom of impermanence. Have you ever lost something, a person, a dream, a version of yourself, only to realize later that the loss was the beginning of your freedom? We often see change as an enemy, but in truth, it is the very nature of existence. Anicca, impermanence, is one of the Buddha's most profound teachings. Nothing lasts forever, and it is precisely because nothing lasts that life can begin again. The seasons shift, the waves rise and fall, and the body we inhabit today is not the same as the one we had 10 years ago. Everything changes, silently, gracefully, inevitably. The problem is not change itself, but our attachment to what used to be. We suffer not because life moves, but because we keep clinging to the shores it has already left behind. There is a Zen parable about a man who built a raft to cross a great river. It carried him safely to the other side, but once he arrived, he continued walking with the raft on his shoulders. Seeing this, the Buddha said, "You fool, the raft helped you cross the river, not to burden your journey ahead." We too carry many rafts, old identities, broken dreams, memories that once protected us but now only weigh us down. The path to peace begins when we finally set them down and keep walking. Change is not a threat. It is the natural rhythm of the universe inviting us to grow. When we resist, we harden and crack. When we yield, we flow. Water teaches this truth perfectly. It takes the shape of any container, slips past obstacles, and still remains itself. To live like water is to trust the current, to allow life to shape us without erasing who we are. To practice this, start small. Each day, do one thing differently, take a new route, eat something unfamiliar, speak to someone you wouldn't normally speak to. These simple acts of openness loosen the fear that binds you. Then, reflect. What has change recently taught you? Perhaps it revealed your strength, your patience, your courage to begin again. Write down 3 lessons from your latest season of transformation. Let them remind you that what once frightened you now guides you. When we stop clinging, we discover lightness. The past no longer defines us. It simply becomes a teacher that walks beside us. In impermanence, there is no tragedy, only renewal. Flowers bloom because they wither, rivers flow because they move, and we become wiser because we lose. I used to fear change as if it were an intruder stealing my certainty, but now I see it differently. Every upheaval, every ending that once broke me open was a silent teacher reshaping my soul. Change is not the end of stability. It is the revelation of life's deeper stability, the truth that everything transforms, yet somehow we are always whole. Lesson 5. Embrace a positive mind, cultivating mindfulness and inner light. Your mind is a garden. The seeds you plant today will bloom into the flowers or the thorns of tomorrow. If you sow worry, fear, and judgment, those will grow. But if you water your mind with awareness, kindness, and presence, peace will blossom quietly, like sunlight spreading across the morning. Mindfulness is not an escape from life, it is the art of returning to it. It is the gentle practice of coming back to the only moment that truly exists, the present. When you are here, fully here, the future loses its power to frighten you, and the past loses its power to wound you. The Buddha called this right awareness the ability to see things as they are, not as our fears imagine them to be. There is a Zen story of a monk and his student. One night, the two were watching the full moon reflected on a lake. The student asked, "Master, is the moon in the water only an illusion?" The master smiled and said, "If there were no water, could you see the moon at all?" The reflection was not the illusion. The illusion was believing that beauty exists only when the water is still. Even when the lake ripples, the moon is still there. So it is with the mind. Even in moments of chaos, the light of awareness remains untouched beneath the surface. To practice mindfulness, begin with the smallest moments. When you eat, just eat, feel the taste, the texture, the gratitude for what sustains you. When you walk, just walk, feel the ground, the rhythm of your breath. When you listen, truly listen, not to respond, but to understand. Every action can be a meditation if it is done with presence. Spend 5 minutes each day observing your breath. No need to force or control it. Simply notice it, the rise and fall, the subtle pause between inhaling and exhaling. That pause is the doorway to peace. It reminds you that even between thoughts, there is spaciousness. Even between breaths, there is stillness. Train yourself to see life as if you were watching a film, not to detach, but to witness. Observe without judgment, without labeling events as good or bad. The story still unfolds, but your heart remains calm, aware that everything passes. When the mind stops trying to control, it begins to see clearly. A positive mind is not one that ignores pain, but one that meets it with understanding. It does not deny the storm. It learns to stay dry within it. Mindfulness transforms positivity from forced optimism into quiet strength, a soft steadiness that stays even when life trembles. I once lived trapped inside the noise of my own thoughts, believing silence was something I had to find outside. But when I learned to stop, truly stop, all the noise melted away. There was only the sound of birds in the early morning and a small, effortless smile. That is mindfulness, the joy that arises when you finally come home to the present moment. Lesson 6. Engage in joyful acts, nurturing the soul through simple happiness. Life is a grand feast, and each day you are invited to choose what nourishes your soul. The question is not whether joy exists, it always does, but whether you allow yourself to taste it. Every morning, the universe lays before you countless dishes of experience: the laughter of a friend, the quiet aroma of tea, the rhythm of your own breathing. What will you choose to feed your heart today? The Buddha taught the principle of right livelihood, to live and work in ways that sustain rather than deplete your energy. Joy is not a luxury for the fortunate few. It is the fuel of awakening. Without joy, even spiritual practice becomes dry and mechanical. With joy, every act, sweeping, cooking, writing, breathing, becomes alive with meaning. There is a Zen story of a young monk sweeping the courtyard on a windy autumn day. Each time he finished, the wind blew new leaves across the ground. Frustrated, he cried out, "Master, the more I sweep, the more they fall." The master smiled and said, "If you pause for a moment, you will see the leaves are sweeping you too." In that instant, the monk understood. The task was not about control, but about participation. The joy of the act was not in finishing, but in being fully present with the movement of the moment. True joy arises when you do things with gratitude rather than with the need to prove something. It comes when you stop measuring worth by outcomes and start honoring the process itself. Whether you are cooking a meal, caring for a child, or walking through the rain, each act can become sacred when done with mindfulness. To live joyfully, make time for what makes your heart smile. Paint, sing, walk, garden, write not for perfection, but for the sheer pleasure of being alive. Choose work and hobbies that align with your deeper values, that replenish rather than drain your spirit. Ask yourself often, does this nourish my energy, or does it exhaust it? If it depletes you, gently step back. If it uplifts you, give it your full presence. Joy is a quiet companion of awareness. It is not loud or demanding. It does not require a reason. It lives in the simple act of noticing the color of the sky, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the breath that rises and falls without you forcing it. The more mindful you are, the more joy you discover hidden in ordinary moments. I used to chase happiness as if it was somewhere far away in achievements, approval, or future plans. But now I know, happiness does not arrive with applause. It whispers through small rituals of awareness. A cup of tea in the morning, a few notes of music drifting through the air, these are not distractions from life. They are life itself. They are gentle reminders that being alive right now is already enough reason to smile. Lesson 7. Cultivate gratitude, the heart that sees light in all things. Gratitude does not make pain disappear. It simply allows us to see the light that still exists within it. Life will always contain both joy and sorrow, gain and loss, birth and decay. But when we look at the world through the eyes of gratitude, Even the smallest details begin to shimmer with quiet holiness. The breath becomes a miracle. The morning sunlight becomes a blessing. Every challenge becomes a teacher in disguise. The Buddha taught that gratitude is the antidote to 3 poisons of the mind: anger, resentment, and the sense of lack. When we practice gratitude, we loosen the grip of these poisons and return to a state of balance. The mind that complains sees only what is missing. The mind that is grateful sees that nothing is missing at all. Gratitude is not a denial of pain. It is the recognition that even within pain, there is still life, still learning, still love. There is an old Zen story. After morning prayers, a young monk sipped his tea and said, "Master, this tea is nothing special." The master smiled gently and replied, "If you were truly grateful, you would see the entire universe in this cup." The tea, simple as it was, held the essence of the rain that fell, the soil that nourished, the farmer's labor, the fire that boiled the water, and the hands that poured it. Gratitude is the awareness that everything is connected, that every ordinary moment is woven from countless acts of love and life. To cultivate gratitude, begin with small steps. Each day, write down 3 things you are thankful for. They do not need to be grand, perhaps the warmth of your blanket, the kindness of a stranger, or the air that fills your lungs. Gratitude grows not from what you have, but from how deeply you notice. Express thanks not only in words, but in action through a smile, a listening ear, or a gentle act of service. Gratitude lived is far more powerful than gratitude spoken. Even in hardship, look for what remains. The strength that helped you endure, the lesson that shaped your wisdom, the compassion that grew from your suffering. These are all gifts hidden in disguise. Life is never purely kind or cruel. It is always teaching. When you bow to each experience, pleasant or painful, you transform resistance into reverence. I once believed that happiness would come when I had enough success, enough love, enough certainty. But now I understand. Happiness begins the moment I realize I already have enough. Gratitude turns not yet into already, and one day into this moment. When your heart becomes thankful, everything becomes enough: the tea, the breath, the sunrise, the life you are living now. And in that quiet recognition, peace settles gently, like the final sip of warm tea at the end of a long day, simple, sacred, and complete. And so, we return to the stillness within. 7 seeds have been planted in the soil of your awareness. Gentleness with yourself, respect for your body, balance in your goals, acceptance of change, mindfulness in thought, joy in daily life, and gratitude for all things. These are not lessons to be memorized, but living practices, quiet companions, to walk with you through every season of your becoming. The world outside will continue to move fast, loud, unpredictable. Storms will come and go. People will enter and leave. Success will rise and fade. But remember, peace is not found when the storm disappears. It is found when you learn to stand still within it. Like the calm eye of a hurricane, your inner stillness remains untouched no matter how the winds roar. That is where true freedom lives, not in control, but in calm. Every moment offers a choice: to react or to return, to tighten or to soften. When you choose stillness, you choose wisdom. You choose presence over panic, clarity over chaos. You become the quiet observer who no longer fights the river of life, but flows with it. trusting that every wave knows exactly where to go. So now, as this journey comes to an end, take a gentle breath with me. Inhale and know that you are alive. Exhale and release what no longer belongs to you. Inhale and allow a soft smile to rise. Exhale and feel gratitude for this moment, for this breath, for this chance to simply be. The stillness you seek is not somewhere far away. It has always been here beneath the noise, beneath the striving, waiting patiently for your return. When you find it, guard it gently, like a candle in the wind. Let it light your days, guide your words, and soften your heart. If this video has brought you even one quiet breath of peace, leave a below to share that stillness with others, because when one person finds calm, the world becomes a little quieter too. I am Quiet Wisdom, a space where every storm becomes a soft wind and every heart learns to come home.